MedCram. Welcome to another MedCram lecture. We're going to talk a little bit about the x-rays and some of the abnormal things that we can see on these x-rays. The example that I've got up here is congestive heart failure, and going through the methodical way we go through these x-rays, there's the A, B, C, Ds. What I'm trying to point out here is some of the abnormalities, just for the interest of time. You can see here that there are these little perpendicular lines, if you notice very carefully, on the sides, and these are perpendicular coming in from the pleural space, and these are what we call curly B lines, and these are consistent with congestive heart failure. Now here's an example of a chest x-ray where there is a pneumothorax, and again what we're doing is we're looking for that pleural line. Here you can see that pleural line coming down here, and here you can see lung markings all throughout this area. Here there is no lung markings. So this is very consistent with a pneumothorax on the left side. Here's another example of pulmonary edema. What you can see here is, if you look very carefully here, you can see that black hole in the middle. That's a end-on bronchus, basically consistent with a bronchus with edema in the wall. Now that edema in the wall is from the congestive heart failure. You can see a few other examples over on the other side of the lung here on the right. Here we get that parabronchial cuffing, as what it's known as. Parabronchial cuffing is consistent with congestive heart failure. You also see in the upper parts of the lung where the blood vessels are about the same caliber as they are in the lower portions, and that is consistent with cephalization. Also, you'll notice here that you're not seeing the costophrenic angle very sharply. That's consistent with pleural effusions as well, all going along with congestive heart failure. So here's an x-ray where you've got the classic whiteout on one side versus the other, and the question is always, is this a pleural effusion or is this reabsorptive atelectasis of the lung? And clearly you can see here the airway, and the fact that it's being pulled over to this side, to the side of the whiteout, tells you that it's atelectasis. But even more than that, I can still make out the left main stem bronchus, but I cannot make out the right main stem bronchus, and that may be because it's filled with tumor or maybe filled with mucus, and that's what's causing this right lung atelectasis. Now here's a great example of a left lower lung pneumonia with a pleural effusion. Pleural effusion because, as opposed to the right side, which is very sharp, the left side is very hazy, and you lose the costophrenic angle. The other thing you should notice is that I can see very clearly the right hemidiaphragm. However, I see no left hemidiaphragm, and that should tell you then there is a left lower lobe pneumonia. Because of the silhouette sign, I've lost the left hemidiaphragm. Here again is an example of another whiteout again. This time it's on the left side, and clearly you can see, if you look at the airway, that it's being pushed away from the side of the pathology, and therefore this must be a pleural effusion, and this is a very large pleural effusion that's actually pushing over the lung. So it would be worthwhile to put a needle into this, usually ultrasound guided, but nevertheless this is not atelectasis, this is a left-sided pleural effusion. And just for completeness, again, here is another example. Here we've got whiteout all over this side, and you can see very clearly here that the trachea is being pulled to that side, and therefore this is not a pleural effusion but rather atelectasis. So we go back to our normal chest x-ray once again. Remember, look at the airway for A, B for bone, see if there's any fractures, C is cardiac, look at the heart borders, okay, D is for the diaphragm, look below the diaphragm for any free air, and look for equal lung fields on both sides, E and F. And then we're looking for pneumothoraces, we're looking for the vasculature, we're looking for air bronchograms, we're looking for pneumonia, the silhouette sign, all of those things. Okay, well, this has been sort of a brief introduction into how to examine a chest x-ray. The best way to do this is to look at chest x-rays over and over and over again, and to look and compare with what the radiologist has written and see if you can find those things in that chest x-ray. And with that, you will become proficient at reading chest x-rays. Thanks for joining us.